All right, let's talk about something heavy that weighs on a lot of folks. You carry around this old arrest record, maybe from years ago. Even if it got dismissed, even if you were found not guilty, you're thinking, is it really gone? Or maybe, does this still mess with my future? Like, say, owning a firearm. Picture this. You've done the work. You went through the whole legal process to clear your name in Texas, got that expungement. You think you're free and clear. Now you want to exercise your Second Amendment right, maybe buy a gun for protection. But then you hear all this confusing stuff back and forth. Yeah, people think, oh, my record's expunged. It's wiped clean. I can do anything now, right? It's totally gone. Or, the flip side is, federal laws are probably different. My Texas expungement won't mean squat for buying a gun. That doubt creeps in. So does that expunged record in Texas really mean you could legally buy a firearm? How do Texas laws and federal laws actually connect on this? And what are the traps, the myths you got to watch out for? Stick with us, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly what your rights are and how to move forward with confidence. Welcome. We're here to break down complex stuff into truths you can use. Today, we're getting into Texas expungement and how it impacts your gun rights, pulling straight from the law books, and what the experts see happen every day. Okay, so let's break this down first. What exactly is an expungement? Or like Texas law calls it, an expunction. We're looking at Chapter 55A of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. This isn't just some fancy legal word. It's about legally, truly wiping that slate clean. Now, who gets this? Who qualifies for this powerful tool? Generally, it's for situations where you were arrested, but it never ended in a final conviction.
Right. Think dismissed charges. Or maybe you went to trial and were found not guilty acquitted. That's key.
Exactly. The law, like Article 55A.002, says if you're acquitted, you're entitled to get those records expunged. And Article 55A.003 even covers pardons, but specifically pardons for actual innocence. So it's about proving the system got it wrong.
Mm-hmm. It's not just any pardon.
Right. So what's the big deal for you, the person going through this? Once that expunction order is final, Texas law gives you some serious power back. Article 55A.401 says the state has to, get this, obliterate all the identifying parts of your record.
Obliterate, that's a strong word. It's not just hiding it.
No, it's gone, wiped out from public view, official view. Mm-hmm. And check this out, this part is huge. The law explicitly says you can deny the arrest ever happened.
You can legally say, nope, never arrested for that.
That's right. Truthfully say it. And nobody can legally hold those old records against you.
Yeah.
All the agencies, local cops, DPS, everyone, they're ordered to destroy or return your files. The court clerk even sends the order up the chain to GPS and the FBI's main database, NCIC, to update things. Legally, it's like it never happened.
And what's really fascinating there is the powerful legal idea it creates. It's like the law is saying this event is nullified, it didn't happen. It's not just about privacy, it's about restoring your legal status, your name.
Yeah.
It connects right back to that idea of second chances, of real restoration, wiping it clean so you can move forward fully.
Okay, so Texas says it's gone. But what about Uncle Sam? Let's talk federal law. The big one here is the Gun Control Act of 1968, the GCA. Specifically, 18 U.S.C. Section 922 G1. That's the part that says, generally, if you've been convicted of a crime punishable by more than a year in prison, basically a felony, you can't possess a firearm.
That's the general federal ban most people know about.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting and where a lot of folks get confused. They worry, okay, Texas wiped my record, but the feds won't care, right?
Yeah, they assume federal law overrides it.
But the Gun Control Act actually has its own rule about this. Look at 18 U.S.C. Section 921A20. It flat out says, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, but any conviction that's been expunged, well, it shall not be considered a conviction for the purpose of this law.
It explicitly recognizes the state expungement.
Exactly. So what that means on the ground is once your conviction is properly expunged by a Texas court, and there aren't some weird special conditions attached, which Texas expunctions usually don't have, federal law says, okay, we don't count that anymore. That federal felony ban, poof, it effectively disappears for that specific conviction.
It's surprisingly clear, isn't it, for something involving federal and state law interacting?
It really is.
But, the practical side. Making sure that message gets through, that the databases actually reflect it, that's where folks sometimes hit a snag, even if the law itself is clear.
Okay, good point. We'll definitely circle back to that practical side.
Yeah, because this federal recognition is huge. It means the state's act of restoration isn't just wiped out by a federal rule. It shows a real alignment, state and federal, wanting to give folks who qualify that full second chance, including their Second Amendment rights.
Okay, let's quickly touch on Texas gun laws, just for context. Before expungement, If someone has a felony conviction, Texas Penal Code Section 46.04 puts limits on them.
Right, like they can't have a firearm at all for 5 years after getting out or finishing probation.
And even after that 5 years, they can only have it at their own home. Breaking those rules is another felony.
Serious restrictions.
So the big question, what happens after you get that expungement? Here's the kicker. If your record is truly expunged, you are no longer legally considered a convicted felon under Texas law for these purposes.
Because the conviction itself has been legally erased.
Exactly. So those Section 46.04 bans, they just don't apply anymore. The foundation for the conviction is gone in the eyes of the law.
It's a complete reset.
And it goes even further. Texas licensing law actually says an expunged conviction doesn't disqualify you from getting something like a license to carry.
See? That just reinforces the point. It's not about a partial fix. The whole idea is complete restoration. Giving you back your status as a law-abiding citizen regarding that past issue, it's not hiding it, it's legally nullifying it. Your rights are restored like it never happened.
All right, let's put it all together. The bottom line question. Can you legally buy and own a gun after getting a real Texas expungement? Based on the law, both state and federal. The answer is yes.
A clear yes, provided it was a true expunction under Chapter 55A.
Right. Let's recap why. State level, the expunction order legally erases the arrest, the conviction. You can deny it happened. Texas agencies destroy the files. You're not a felon under Texas gun law anymore. Your rights are back.
Simple as that on the state side.
In federal level. Federal law, thanks to that Section 921A20, explicitly ignores that expunged conviction for gun purposes. The FBI's background check system in ICS gets updated, so a background check should come back clean for that issue.
The system is designed to reflect that erasure.
So practically, what does this mean when you go to buy a gun? You fill out that federal form, ATF Form 4473. There's that question. Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
The big one.
Yeah. With a valid Texas expungement for that felony, you can truthfully, legally check no.
Because, according to both Texas law and the specific federal statute governing firearms, you are no longer considered convicted of that expunged offense.
That old charge shouldn't block the sale because, legally, it doesn't exist for this purpose.
Now, this brings up something important, though. Verification. Even with clear laws, you got to make sure the gears turn correctly. Did the notice really get to DPS? Did NICS get updated?
So it's not just legal theory, it's making sure the paperwork actually flowed through the system.
Exactly. It's about making sure the practical reality matches the legal right. The law is definitely on your side after expungement, but a little diligence ensures you don't face unexpected hiccups when you try to exercise those restored rights.
Okay, that makes sense. So the law seems pretty clear, but we know there's a lot of bad info and confusion out there. Let's bust some common myths that can really trip people up. Myth number 1, expunged means totally clean, like magic, for everything. What's the reality check here?
Well, it's powerful, but it's not magic. Expungement in Texas does delete public records and legally erases the event, letting you deny it. But here's the thing. It only works for crimes that actually qualified for expunction under Chapter 55A.
So not every charge can be expunged.
Absolutely not. If your situation didn't fit the rules, maybe it was a conviction that wasn't pardoned for innocence, or maybe it was a certain type of offense that just doesn't qualify, then you don't get this right. It has to be a true court-ordered expunction based on the specific law. Just wanting it doesn't make it happen.
Got it. Okay, myth number 2. And listen up, because this one is huge EE and causes major problems. Hey, I got deferred adjudication, or I got my record sealed with a nondisclosure order. That's basically the same as an expungement for getting a gun, right?
Oh man, no. This is probably the most critical misunderstanding out there. Nondisclosure sealing your record is absolutely not the same as expungement when it comes to federal gun laws.
Explain that difference. Break it down for us.
Okay, think of it like this. Nondisclosure, or sealing, basically hides your record from the public. Employers, landlords, most folks can't see it. It puts like a privacy shield around it. But UT law enforcement and government agencies, including the feds checking gun backgrounds, they can often still see it. And crucially, under federal law, that 18 U.S.C. 922, a conviction that was merely sealed or non-disclosed still counts as a conviction.
So the feds still see it as a conviction?
Yes. Expungement, on the other hand, it legally erases the conviction for these purposes. It tells the feds, this conviction doesn't exist anymore. Remember Section 921A20? It only applies to expunged convictions, not sealed ones.
Wow. So if your record was only sealed, not expunged, you cannot answer no to the felony question on that federal gun form.
Correct. Doing so could be a federal crime perjury. Only a true expunction under Chapter 55A gives you the legal right to deny that conviction for federal gun purposes. This difference is night and day, and confusing them has serious consequences.
That is critical. Okay, myth number 3. Once it's expunged, smooth sailing. I can buy a gun, no problem, no questions asked. Is it always that easy?
It should be. If everything is done correctly, yes. But sometimes, well, government systems can have delays. Maybe the court sent the order, but there's a backlog or an administrative hiccup somewhere in updating the DPS or the FBI NICS database.
So you might get a temporary denial.
It's possible, though, usually temporary. It just means you might need to follow up, maybe provide a copy of your expunction order to clear the snag. So while the right is there, it's wise to just double check that the systems are updated to avoid that kind of frustration.
Makes sense. And myth number 4, we kind of covered this, but let's nail it down. Federal law doesn't care about a Texas expungement.
Plain wrong. We saw it right there in the federal law, 18 U.S.C. section 921A20. It explicitly says federal law does recognize and honor state expungements for gun law purposes. Both Texas law and federal law agree on this. A properly expunged conviction is treated as if it never happened for buying a gun.
All right. So for those listening, maybe thinking this applies to you or someone you care about, let's walk through the practical steps. If you want to pursue this restoration, how do you make it happen based on what we've discussed? First step, you got to check eligibility.
That's the foundation. Don't assume. You need to see if your specific situation, the charge, how it ended, the timing actually fits under Texas CCP Chapter 55A.
Yeah.
Was it dismissed? Were you acquitted? Pardoned for innocence? There are rules.
Right. Don't waste time and hope if you don't actually qualify. Step 2, get your records.
Yeah.
All of the official documents?
Yes. You need the arrest records, the court documents, disposition reports, everything related to that specific case. You need the exact details, dates, cause numbers. Precision matters here.
Okay. Step 3, file a petition for expunction. This is the formal legal request to the court.
Exactly. You draft the petition, making sure it cites the right parts of the law, and file it in the court that handled the original case. And critically, you have to properly notify, serve the district attorney's office, DPS, and any other agency that might have records.
Don't miss anyone.
No.
Okay. Step 4, attend any hearing if the court sets one.
Be ready. Sometimes it's straightforward and no hearing is needed. But if the judge wants to ask questions or review things, you need to be there, prepared to state your case clearly.
Step 5, hopefully obtain the expunction order, that signed paper from the judge.
That's the goal. That signed order is the legal proof that your record is ordered to be expunged. Get certified copies of it. Keep them safe.
Definitely. Step 6, notify Texas DPS. Send them that order.
Yes. Make sure the Texas Department of Public Safety Crime Records Service gets a copy of the signed order. They manage the state's main criminal history database.
Step 7, notify the FBI NICS, or rather, ensure they get notified.
Right. Usually, DPS handles notifying the FBI to update the National Crime Information Center NCIC database, which feeds the NICS background check system. But like we said, it doesn't hurt to maybe follow up or verify that the update actually happened. You want NICS to be clear.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Step 8, keep your documentation. You mentioned getting certified copies. Hold on to those.
Absolutely. Keep them somewhere safe indefinitely. Just in case anything weird ever comes up down the line, you have the official proof that the court erased that record.
Okay. Step 9, understand how to answer that ATF Form 447-3 question about convictions.
With that valid expunction order in place and the system updated, you can legally and truthfully answer no to the felony conviction question regarding the expunged offense.
And finally, step 10, enjoy your rights.
That's right. Once the process is complete and verified, your Second Amendment rights regarding that specific issue are restored. You're legally entitled to own and possess firearms again, subject to all the general laws that apply to everyone else, of course. It's about reclaiming what was lost, stepping back into your full rights as a citizen.
Okay, let's bring it home. We walked through a lot today. The main takeaway, a real expungement under Texas Chapter 55A legally erases that record. You can deny it happened. And critically, Federal Law 18 U.S.C. Section 921, 2020, says that expunged conviction does not count for federal gun laws. So putting it plainly, if you got a true Texas expungement, you are legally free to buy and own guns again. You can honestly check no on that federal background check form about that specific conviction. The path is clear.
Absolutely. But always remember, we're talking general principles here based on the law. Every single person's situation can have unique details. Maybe there's something else going on, an active protective order, a different conviction that wasn't expunged. So look at your whole picture.
Good point. Diligence matters.
And make sure all the I's are dotted and T's crossed in the process.
All right, here's something to think about as we wrap up. We just talked about how powerful expungement is for restoring gun rights, something many think is impossible after a felony issue. Makes you wonder, what other marks on someone's record, things that feel permanent, things that hold people back, might also be reversible? What other doors could open jobs, housing, licenses, if people knew the pathways that exist for restoration and second chances? It just shows, truly, that knowledge is power. Understanding your rights, understanding the law, it can literally change your future. We hope we've given you some tools, some clarity today. Stay curious, keep seeking truth, keep fighting for your restoration. And remember, for more resources and to get empowered, visit legal-gangsta.com. That's legal-gangsta.com.
That's right, legal-gangsta.com.
And for all our listeners in Harris County, Texas, go to legal-gangsta.com right now.